I want to talk about an incident you had recently with a drunk driver.
Yeah.
120 miles per hour.
Yep.
You came out pretty much no damages, right?
Yeah, man, it was crazy. The only thing I have, I don't know if you can see on camera, little scar right here, that's from an airbag.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, head on with a drunk driver who's coming at me 120 miles an hour. I was driving my Tesla. I had my two boys in it. We were coming home from a wrestling tournament on a Saturday at 3 p.m. This guy was blasted, wasted. It was a two-way road. Had a semi truck coming at me in this lane. I'm going this way. This car gets in my lane and I see him cross this line of the shoulder, and I had a decision to make.
Welcome back to the show, guys. Digital Social Hour. I'm your host, as always, Sean Kelly. Got with me a fellow podcast host, Chris Lee. How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Can't complain. I love the kicks.
Thank you. Excited to be here, and glad you noticed. I'm a big shoe guy.
Yeah. How many sneakers you got?
Oh man, probably got 150 pair.
Damn.
Yeah.
So you go to all those sneaker conferences?
No, not that big. You know, I'm more of a just spend full resale, kind of guy. And but yeah, not traveling to the conferences, but I do like my sneakers.
I know the founder of SneakerCon, so I'm gonna put you guys in touch.
Cool.
I like to always give back to people that come on my platform.
Nice. I am every guy that's trying to sell sneakers' perfect dream.
Perfect. So outside of sneakers, let's talk about what you're doing.
Yeah, man, got a lot of stuff going on with the podcast. Recently exited my business, and
Which business?
Rocking and rolling. So we sold to private equity. So my company that I founded out of my garage, Soulgen Power. We sold it off to private equity a year and almost a half ago.
Okay.
And then I recently about 6 months ago, I get bad with time, but five or 6 months ago, I stepped down as the CEO, took the chairman role, and so not actively involved in the day-to-day anymore there. So,
Got it.
Yeah.
So you stayed with the company when you sold?
Yeah. So typically with private equity, they're investing in founders, investing in the guys and the structure and whatnot. And so we got paid a bunch of money, rolled some equity forward. It was a 9-figure exit.
Wow.
And so rolled it forward. So I still have some equity there, but just no longer involved in the day-to-day.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I just had Alex Mayer on yesterday.
Okay.
And one of the things he was telling me was after he sold Zeusk for 9 figures, he felt kind of lost.
Yeah.
Did you experience that?
So he probably left right away. I didn't feel lost until I stepped down as the CEO.
Right.
And it's probably one of the most difficult times of my life, frankly.
Damn.
Yeah. I've gone through probably like 4 different like real low points in my life. That was it. That was the most recent and probably the lowest, which is crazy. Plenty of money, plenty of different things, great things to be thankful for. I have an awesome family, wife, everything like that. But my identity shifted, and I had attached it to this business that I had born. Right, like it was started in my garage. 6.5 years later, I'm stepping down, and it was tough.
Yeah, it's almost like your kid. At that point.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You view the employees that you're interacting with day to day as like your family, and no longer being involved with them and having that same purpose. It's difficult. And I did it for all the right reasons. Did it to spend more time with my kids. Did it spend more time doing acquisitions and of other businesses and investment portfolios and stuff. But you can only dedicate so much to more time to your kids. Like I didn't have, if I tried to go and dedicate 60, 70 hours to them, like that's too much. Right? Like they're just like, Dad, you're annoying. You're around too much.
There's a balance.
Yeah, there's a balance. Absolutely. And so, we struggled for probably about 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Trying to find purpose.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually on the shorter side from what I've heard other founders, but still that must have been a bad time.
Yeah.
So after 6 weeks, is that when you started the podcast?
So I had made the decision to start the podcast beforehand, and I was like working towards getting it going. But yeah, man, it was hard to find motivation, and hard to like, because I was just still stuck where I was previously.
So money doesn't fix everything.
No, absolutely not. Money is simply a magnifier.
Yeah. Because you probably couldn't even find out what to spend with all that.
And you can only you can only spend so much until it just doesn't become fulfilling, right? A car becomes a car after about a week of driving it.
Right.
A boat becomes a boat about a week after driving it. Like,
you get used to the stuff.
Yeah,
quick.
man. It's like, more watches, more cars doesn't change anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I went through a weird phase. I have 5 watches right now and I only wear one of them.
Right.
So it's like, why did I even buy the other 4?
Yeah. No, that's exactly right.
So I got out of it decently quick, but I like spending money on experiences.
Yeah.
Travel is like my favorite.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a big travel guy. My wife is a little bit more difficult. She doesn't like traveling as much. She'd rather be home.
Really?
Yeah. And
I love traveling.
I mean, we have a pretty awesome house. We got 23 acres, and
Wow.
It's a little retreat, and we've really customized it a lot to fit our needs and wants, but yeah, so she would rather be there.
Yeah, if you got 23 acres, I can't imagine traveling anywhere better than that.
Yeah, so we got some cool stuff.
Yeah. So you mentioned 3 other low points along your journey.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever talked about these points?
Yeah, talked about it for sure. Like my bankruptcy was a big low point in my life. 2011, filed bankruptcy for $2.2 million.
Damn.
That was after I started my very first business at the age of 24 in 2008. And 2.5 years later, found myself no way out, no way to pay the bills. Bad partnerships, bad decision making, a lot of personal choices that I had made to really screw things up. And so, having to go to my father-in-law and let him know that the money he invested in my business was gone.
Ooh.
And also from my dad. And
They invested how much?
They both invested. And my dad was a school teacher, so he didn't have a lot to invest, but he put about half his life savings into
Ooh.
it. Yeah.
That must have been tough.
Yeah. So it was, that was definitely a low point.
Yeah. So did you end up paying them back eventually?
I did.
Nice. So that must have been good.
Yeah. Those are some of the highlights.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would have done the same because that would have been eating at me if that happened to me for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, your own parents, man. Yeah, that's why I try not to raise money from family.
Yep. No, I'm the same way. I steer clear, but I was young and dumb initially, so
yeah.
No longer do I take on family members as investors. I've done some real estate deals with my dad and stuff, but they're like secure deals.
Calculated.
But,
yeah, real estate's you're not going to make crazy money. It's more preserving wealth,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And you went to Harvard, right?
Yeah. So I've done a Harvard program. It's called OPM. It stands for Owner President Management. It's a 3-year program. I'm actually in the middle of it. Just finished year 2.
Wow.
And so it's a very elite program. They take 160 owners or presidents of businesses throughout the world. They have thousands of applicants that get into it or that try to get in. It's very awesome. Like out of the 160 people that are part of my group, probably about 25% of them are billionaires.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I never heard of this program.
Oh yeah. It's a very elite, very low, like they're not advertising it to just anybody.
Because when you think of Harvard, you just think of the normal classroom setting.
Yeah, no. So there's definitely a classroom aspect to it. So we do what's called case study, which is similar to like an MBA program, right? But you're doing it with this group that has experience, real world experience running, and you have to hit like certain thresholds, like the minimum application, you have to be doing 10 million a year to apply.
In revenue?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And so, but I mean, most the people that get in are doing well over that. One of my roommates from Dubai, love this guy. We became really good friends because we lived together. We lived together for 3 weeks. And you live in this living group and you eat together and you study together. You do these case studies together.
Wow.
He does 3.6 billion a year.
Holy crap.
3.6 billion. And so, and he's not even the greatest. Like we got the second richest guy in the world. His oldest son is part of our group.
Yeah.
Will I Am is a part of our group.
Damn.
You got all kinds of really cool things. It's an awesome program. So I just got back from that a couple weeks ago and we'll finish it next fall.
Dude, it's now on my bucket list to get in there one day. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, you'll love it.
Being surrounded by 160 guys on that level must be super inspiring.
Yeah. And it's 160 people that don't have time. They have time for 3 weeks.
So it's literally 3 weeks in a different area?
3 weeks. We live on Harvard Business School campus.
In Boston?
In Boston.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, it's phenomenal.
Wow. I wonder if other universities offer this.
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but Harvard is the name, and they got some of the best professors. And the cool thing is their professors a lot of times have real world experience. Like our negotiation professor, he did private equity for 20 years, sold for a couple $100 million, and then decided he wanted to teach.
Dude, that's sick. I actually just had a Harvard professor on the show last week.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Never made it that far, but it's cool to say you're doing it now.
Yeah, I'm actually a college dropout. I don't have a degree.
Wow.
And now when I graduate from Harvard, I will actually be granted Harvard alumni status and all that stuff, but still a college dropout.
That's sick. So you were not good in school.
I was actually phenomenal in school. I just it wasn't from. So I had 165 credits. You need 120 to graduate. I was planning on being a doctor.
Right.
And I had a 3.96 GPA.
Damn.
And did all those things. But once I decided the school was no longer serving me, and I dropped out to start a business. So because I went there for education, I didn't go there for a degree. And that's the problem with today's children in society is that they go for the paper, not for the actual learning.
Right.
So
it's very rare to see entrepreneurs do that well in school. Like I'm very shocked that you were valedictorian pretty much.
Yeah, close, but yeah, I actually really enjoyed school. I enjoyed learning of all different types. So, yeah.
And is that when you had your caffeine addiction? Those school days?
Man, my caffeine addiction has actually been more recent. I recently gave up caffeine about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. Brand new.
So brand new. I was drinking about 600 milligrams a day.
Holy crap. Yeah, is that like 12 coffees?
So I actually don't drink coffee.
What do you mean?
But, yeah, I don't drink coffee at all. So it was all like pre-workout and energy drinks.
Oh shit! Yeah, so that's probably even worse.
So even worse. So man, so part of my religion, I don't drink coffee, don't drink tea, don't drink alcohol or any the main addictions. But I justify drinking energy drinks, but recently gave it up. So man, I try to be as pure as possible. I don't eat sugar, white flour, fried foods.
Damn, that's hard in Vegas.
That's hard anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Wait, you mentioned religion. What religion?
I'm the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So LDS, most people call us Mormons. Yeah.
Mormons, okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I like Mormons.
Yeah, thanks.
I never was exposed to them growing up in Jersey, but I went to Salt Lake to visit my friend like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is a Mormon? And then I got around the people. They're all super respectful. They don't drink, do drugs. And that's sort of how I live too. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's how I grew up. My dad was a convert to the religion. My mom was part of like the early days. Like her ancestry actually went and settled Utah. So
wow,
yeah,
that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So you were going door to door.
So I've done door to door. Yep, I was a two-year missionary for my church in Oklahoma. Learned Spanish and also a little bit of Marshallese.
What's Marshallese?
It's from the southeastern Pacific or southwestern Pacific. It's an island language. Yeah.
Damn. So would you contribute your success to just being very good at learning?
I would say most of my success is based off of one, putting God and family first, and then two, being very education centric.
Right.
And so for me, it's just like having a real purpose behind what I do. Mm-hmm. My purpose has never been money. Money is a derivative of value created. And so I love creating value. Mm-hmm. And so, I feel like I am a lifetime learner and I'm always looking for ways to be educated. So I, throughout my career, at least once a quarter, I'll go spend money to go to a mastermind. A lot of times I'll speak at masterminds, but I don't count those. I actually want to learn from others as well. And a lot of times it's surprised people. I've gone to like 20, 25 person and I'm like, very in the room, like one of the most successful people, but I'm there to actually learn from them. And,
wow.
And so, it's just something that I'm dedicated to. I want to be the best version of Chris Lee possible.
Dude, I love that. Yeah, something about masterminds just powerful. Like it changed my life. I joined a mastermind when I was 21. Cost $100,000 to join, right?
Was that Dan's?
Dan's.
Cool. Dan's cool.
Yeah, solid dude. I'm actually going to his event tonight in San Diego. But dude, I was 21, spent half the money I had on that mastermind. So I only had $200K back then, and it changed my life.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I go to at least one mastermind a year.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, some people look at events as mastermind. I love to be in a room where there's like 10 to 12 of us and we're just discussing the things that are working and not working within our businesses, personal life, those type of things.
Right.
And like using each other's minds to be able to overcome. And like that's my network is definitely
absolutely
been where I've been able to grow.
Yeah, I love that. I had David Guillaume on last month. He owns Mary Ruth's Organics supplement company, and he's similar. So he has group chats. There's one if you're doing 10 million, 50 million, 100 million. And he said all they do is help and critique each other's businesses. It's like
That's
10
awesome.
to 12 guys in each chat.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
And when he told me that, I was like, yeah, I'm not surrounding myself with the right people to get to the next level.
Yeah.
Because I've been stuck at the 7-figure range for 3 years now.
Yep.
And I can never crack that 10 mil range.
Yeah. Usually the people that are stuck at the 7 figures is because they're like phenomenal solopreneurs, right? Like them, maybe a couple VAs, couple team members or whatnot. And to really get to the next level is typically a process and a team thing, like actually building out a management team in order to get there. Like that's really what worked for me is I've always been able to recruit, always been able to cast a great vision. And as I've casted the great vision, I've been able to attract people that are more talented than me to come be a part of my team.
Yeah.
And so, that was one thing that I learned in growing my business. We built it from 0 to 1,300 employees in 5.5 years.
Damn.
And we did that all organically, without acquisition. We did it without outside investment, all bootstrapped, and it was because we got people bought into the vision.
That's crazy.
And we were willing to relinquish power and let other people have control over certain aspects of the business.
No, you're spot on with that because I am a solopreneur, maybe one person max, and that's probably why I've been stuck at 7. But also there's some comfort in that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Because once you start hiring, I feel like there's increased responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Like, did you have a lot of pressure when you were hiring fast?
Absolutely, man. But, for me, I think the reason why most people are unwilling to get outside of that comfort zone is because they're solely focused and nothing against you, but just the population in general is like they don't want to take that next step because it's so much about the money and they feel like that they're going to lose control of the money and they might lose everything, right? Where for me, like building a team has always been about the team and like the story and like doing incredible things. And like when you can rise above that, above like the money and the control and everything else, like it's no longer scary because like I'm here for the experience. Like I just want to experience something that I haven't done before. And the only way I'm going to get there is I got to be around people that have done it before, right? Learn from them, mimic them, and go and do it regardless of my fears.
I mean, no, that's spot on. No, I appreciate that criticism because my thing is I go all in. So I'm not building myself a safety net where if the company fails, I could fall back on. So I think that's sort of my issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go all in. But I'd really see this podcast, taking off.
Yeah, man, you've been doing an incredible job building this thing up. That's awesome.
If I can get to that next level and put the right team around me, I mean, I love your show too, man. You got on some special people.
Thank you.
And I want to ask about, first, how are you getting these people, networking with them, and who have some have been your favorite guests?
Yeah, so the Founder Podcast, for those that aren't following me, it's phenomenal. It's been a phenomenal experience. I launched in June, and all of my people have come organically through my own networking. A lot of people hire outside agencies or whatnot to go and do it. I'm just like, no. For me, this is a networking tool, and if I can't offer value by reaching out and whatnot, then it's not worth it. So Grant Cardone, I first got connected with him in 2013.
Wow.
And a friend of mine had been to one of his like small conferences of like 30 people and got his personal cell phone number, gave it to me, and I started reaching out to him.
Oh, you just cold texted?
Yeah, I just cold texted him. and so, I read his book, and in his book, he had in 10X rule, he had talked about like always like reaching up, and I'm like, dude, this is me reaching up. And I'm like, I'd love to get to know you, love to get to, And so then we just started interacting over the years, and it was just through text messages. I'd send him, one of my networking hacks is I will always send a video of myself through text.
Interesting.
And so that someone can actually see my face, hear my voice as if without actually having to dedicate a time to be on a call with me.
Right.
And so that's usually if I'm going to cold contact somebody, that's how I'm doing it. Is with a voice. I'm going to call them by name so they know that this isn't just some random blast text. I'm going to quote something that they're involved in, so it's actually about them. And then I just let them know. I'm like, hey, I just love to, and I don't ask for anything up front. Right. And so over the years with Grant, it was just texting, being involved in things like, hey man, what kind of investments you got available that I can invest in? Because I knew he was raising capital. He was like, oh, how much money you got? And so it was just like, oh, this. And so then, we had built 10 years of a texting relationship, and we had FaceTimed a few times, and other dude never met the guy face to face. And so then it was just like one day when I was launching the podcast, did a video reach out. I was like, hey, Grant, recently exited my business. This is what I'm doing. Love to have you on. He's like, dude, let's do it.
Dude.
And so it was just like, the ask was after 10 years of work.
10 years.
And Alex Hormozy, I've known Alex for 4 years. We met at a mastermind. We've kept in contact. We do dinner at different masterminds every time that we get together. And so we worked on this relationship. So then going asking for Alex to be on my show, not a big deal, And so like that for me, and then from then, every time I get connected with somebody or reconnected with somebody, I ask them, hey, who else would be a phenomenal guest for my show?
Smart.
Can you three-way text us on? And then when they three-way text, guess what? I individually text them a video. This is Chris. This is this.
Smart.
And so, and because of that, man, I've been able to land some freaking phenomenal people.
Yeah.
I mean, people that are doing big things in the world, and it's been a great run so far.
Dude, I love that. 10 years before an ask. I mean, the patience is just insane.
Yeah. I play the long game. Most people don't play the long game.
Right.
I'm 39 years old and I've had a lot of success in 39 years, but I've also been at it for 20 years. Right. And I will continue to play the long game. Like, I don't need to ask. And one thing I've learned over the years is like, just never even ask. Like, always serve, always give, always give, always give. And then they might ask to serve you. And then that's when you can potentially capitalize. And usually even then you push it off one more time and then you ask later.
Love that. I always try to give more than I ask.
Yeah.
And I try to do it like at an 80-20% ratio.
That's awesome.
So that's served me well, man. Like, for real.
And there's ways I need to improve. Like, I need to create a better system for the way I network. I don't have an incredible system. I need to spreadsheet it out and see when I've contacted and whatnot. And I've seen some really cool reels on it.
Yeah,
like,
I've seen those.
Yeah, but like that's where I need to improve.
No, I love that. And I see your show I think you'll be top 5.
Appreciate it.
I mean, between the people you have on and your experience, the problem with certain podcasts is the host isn't knowledgeable enough.
Right.
But you've been through the trenches.
Yeah.
You've built, sold companies.
And I think that's what people really want. They want authenticity. They want somebody that's done it. Man, I'll tell you, nothing bugs me more than some self-help guru that is like 22 years old and never done anything.
He does every day.
Oh my goodness. Dude, it bugs me. And it's just like, and so that's the beauty of what we have is like, I've done the work, I've done the effort, I put it in. And so now I'm starting to capitalize on it.
Now, how did you train your mindset to think long-term? Because in the day of social media where everything's just such a quick win, it's very hard to think that way.
Yeah, man, I always try to remind myself, Thomas Edison didn't find success until he's 67 years old, right? Like after, it was like his just over 1,000 inventions that he had before the light bulb came and hit, and I actually, so there's 3 entrepreneurs or three American history guys that I have signed documents from that hang in my office. One is from Thomas Edison because he was the entrepreneur that never gave up, right? And then I have one from Nikola Tesla because he was the dreamer. He always thought bigger and better than everything else. And then George Washington, the freedom fighter. And so I have a signed document from George Washington. And, for me, I try to remind myself, like, dude, Thomas Edison didn't hit until he's 67. Colonel Sanders didn't hit until he was in his 70s. Like, so the rule is later Like the exceptions, all of us want to base what we do off of exceptions rather than the rules. The rules are success happens later in life after many years of grinding, after throwing roots, and then you see growth, right? The bamboo tree, right? That throws roots down for like, I don't know, 12 months, 2 years, whatever. And then all of a sudden shoots all up in like 30 days.
Right.
Like that is the standard. That is the rule, not the exception. Like we've got to stop thinking that we're an exception to the rule. We're not.
Yeah.
We aren't. And the only way that you can become an exception to the rule is live by the rule of success, and then maybe, just maybe, you might get lucky.
Right.
You know? And so that's for me is like, man, I have rules and principles that I base everything off of, and I don't work for fruit. I work for growth, right? And so fruit is like literal fruit on the end of trees, money, feeling, a result. I don't work for those things. I work to become better every single day. And if I get the fruit, then phenomenal, fantastic, right? And so that's what I always have to remind myself is like, I'm not in this game for fruit.
Right.
In fact, it's the reason why I love fruit trees. I have 23 acres, 9 acres of cherry trees. Like, some years there's things that happen that are out of my control. The weather damages the cherries, whatever else. Like, I can't control that, but I did everything possible to raise that tree right. I fertilized it, I watered it, I sprayed it, I mowed it. I did everything to make sure that tree was able to produce, but it didn't produce fruit in that season. Most people in that scenario, they give up, they chop the tree down in real life, right?
Yeah.
If I go and I put all this effort into making money and I don't make money, I just chop the tree down and try something different instead of realizing, man, I just became an incredible tree that has the potential to bear fruit. And if I just take care of it one more season, I'm going to get fruit.
Man, that's so powerful.
You know, and so like that's for me, that's what keeps me motivated is like, I ain't in this. I ain't in this for the fruit. I ain't in this for the results. I'm in this to become the best version that Chris Lee can be. And it's not me against Sean. It's not me against Grant Cardone or Alex Hormozy or, you know, because what happens is when you compare against somebody else, right? You either one, you're way overly satisfied because you're like, man, at least I'm not that person. I'm kicking butt.
Right.
Or you feel unmotivated, man, I wish I was this guy. I have no control or whatnot. Instead of being like, am I better than Chris yesterday? If that's the case, then I'm trending in the right direction. It's all about trends. Can I be trending in the right direction regardless of the fruit?
Right. That's so powerful. And most people, I would say, compare themselves.
Yeah.
So just to reframe that mindset to just be better than you were yesterday, like Kaizen, is a powerful message. And it's hard to... With social media, it's so easy to compare yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how do you even use social media?
I do, unfortunately, and I spend way too much time on there. But I do it more for market research. I like to see what other people are doing, what's working, what's not working.
Okay.
And, you know, when someone's having success and I feel myself feeling some hint of jealousy or whatever else, I have trained myself like to like snap out of it and like clap my hands for them, right? Like that's the thing I have to remember is like I gotta celebrate the success of other individuals, and I gotta be grateful for where I'm at. Gratitude is like the number one thing that you have to start with. As long as you're grateful for your current circumstance, your current blessings, your current family, whatever else, then it doesn't matter what anybody else has.
Yeah.
Right. And so like start with there, remind yourself, and that's usually what helps me.
Powerful. Yeah, I keep a gratitude journal.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Every day the past 3 years. It's really kept me grounded.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
I want to talk about an incident you had recently with a drunk driver.
Yeah.
120 miles per hour.
Yep.
You came out pretty much no damages, right?
Yeah, man, it was crazy. The only thing I have, I don't know if you can see on camera, little scar right here, that's from an airbag. But yeah, head on with a drunk driver who's coming at me 120 miles an hour. I was driving my Tesla. I had my 2 boys in it. We were coming home from a wrestling tournament on a Saturday at 3 p.m. This guy was blast wasted. It was a 2-way road. Had a semi truck coming at me in this lane. I'm going this way. This car gets in my lane and I see him cross this line of the shoulder, and I had a decision to make. And so I decided to bail off into this farm field because we were kind of out in the country, and we both bailed at the same time. He hit me right here behind my rear view mirror, and shredded this part of my door, and then right behind me was completely destroyed.
Whoa.
If you go on my social media, so Chris Lee QB on Instagram, you can see images of that car. It's just completely demolished, and I had a son in the back without a seatbelt.
Whoa.
Yeah, and luckily, because it was an electric car, it didn't flip. It turned because it's really weighted in the bottom from the battery. And so it pushed him against the door that didn't get destroyed. And this one was complete, like my wheel axle, everything else is gone.
Holy crap.
And that car, they hit us, rolled 4 times. All 3 of them weren't wearing seatbelts. They all walked away. It's crazy. All 3 of these drunk kids.
Oh, they were all drunk?
All drunk.
Jeez.
And then my son in the front, we all walked away. Son in the back he had a fat lip. And he was bleeding a bunch, and I thought like he was in trouble, but it was just a fat lip. And man, we walked away. Praise to God.
That's so nuts. Do you believe everything happens for a reason?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm a big believer in Christ, and He's my Savior, and definitely religious, and so I think that everything in this life is for our experience, and. I knew after that day that I had something more to finish, some other calling or work to do here on this earth. And so I was preserved in that point, and it's definitely given me a whole new meaning to life. It's actually one of the main motivators that got me to step down as the CEO of my business and take on the chairman role and spend more time with my kids, spend more time doing the things that I love. And
Yeah, you realize life is so short,
Yeah.
Moments like that. You see people in their 30s, 40s passing away from cancer.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you're like, wow, you never know when your time's up.
Yeah, I mean, literally, you potentially won't wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
At any point, I've seen people pass away in their sleep, cancer, all the things, man. It's crazy.
Nuts.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in that moment would dedicate their lives to putting that other person in jail.
Yeah.
But did you even care about that?
No. Yeah. In fact, like I don't know if I even know the guy's name. I think the DA is trying to press charges against him because one of the passengers was injured. And so they're pressing for that passenger.
Got it.
But, you think about a situation. I actually was just talking about Bradley about this situation like this. You think you're going to be angry. And I was absent of anger, and and I can be very angry. I'm not a nice person a lot of times in scenarios like this, but like that scenario, I was just initially in a little bit of shock, and then just so grateful to be alive. So grateful that my kids were there with me, and that like I had another chance.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I love that, Chris. It's been a great episode. Anything you want to close off with or promote?
Man, I just say appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
So
thanks for watching, guys. I hope you got inspired from that, learned something new, and as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.